Lovely good evening to you all. Welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: some officials from the Ministry of Finance willing to pay back illegally acquired funds. Zambia's annual inflation rate hits double digits, the highest in over 1 year. Divergent views emerge following the rejection of a motion to reintroduce the Ministry of Religious Affairs. In international news, Russia's trade with Africa increased by 35% in the first half of 2023. And in sports news, Nigeria stands co-host Australia to deliver major shock at Women's World Cup.
Hello Zambia. Greetings to all soccer-loving Zambians. I am Dr. Sten Pusi from the Czech Republic, and I will bring with me soccer agent Mr. Jakub Skibik and the coach Mr. Pavel Ondrečka, both from the Czech Republic as well. Football league in the Czech Republic is a qualitative and competitive league in the world. Knowing that, there are a lot of highly talented footballers in Zambia. All of us will be visiting Zambia from the 2nd to 6th of August 2023 in partnership with Camnet Football Academy. Agent and coach will come to Lusaka, Zambia to look at promising young Zambian players. Chances are that hard-working players may get engagement in the Czech Republic and including other European leagues. We look forward to seeing you at the tournament, which will be organized by Pastor Moses Chiluba of Camnet Television. See you soon!
The news in detail. An advocate for ex-inmates has urged members of the public to give a benefit of doubt to ex-inmates to end the stigma against the individuals. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Paul Chirwa says ex-inmates continue being discriminated against as society perceives them to be wrongdoers. Mr. Chirwa, who is also director for Zambia Ex-Inmates Multipurpose Cooperative, ZAMEP, says every human being is a potential inmate, and as such, people should have compassion towards ex-inmates seeking reintegration in society. More in the following report.
Ex-inmates are usually looked down in society as members of the public perceive them as wrongdoers who are unreformed. With passion to change the status quo, Paul Chirwa of Lusaka formed a cooperative to support ex-inmates, which has since received government's recognition.
How long I've been going to the prison to do the motivations to help. It is just something that has been in me. Through our church where I go, it happened that I have seen that more church go into prison, more organizations go into prison. But when those prisoners come out of the prison, there's no one who has helped them. No one received them from outside. Even the churches that go into prison, even myself, when I have been going to the prison, when those ex-prisoners come, I'm not found, and they become more desperate.
Mr. Chirwa has urged members of the public to avoid looking down at ex-inmates as they undergo reformation in correctional facilities.
They tend to be rejected, but they are very innocent. So what we want is the society free in thinking that all ex-prisoners are bad people. They are not bad. They are human beings like you and me. In fact, some of us, we are more weak than them. Imagine someone was accused but he didn't do anything. He happened to go to prison. You yourself, you've committed a crime but you have not gone to prison. So there are people that are outside prison but they are bad. But there are people who are in prison but they are...
James Tembo is one of the beneficiaries of his initiative, Zambia Ex-Prisoners Cooperative, ZAMEP, now working as a driver, and has urged fellow ex-inmates to be faithful when given such opportunities.
With me, I'm a driver, I'm a mechanic, purchasing officer. I do a lot of things. So for that, I say, even those who may be stuck or maybe looking forward for help, they should go through the same channel. But my main emphasis is that they need to be also faithful, because once you misbehave, then you block the opportunity of other people. So even those maybe who are in prison, they may be wondering, because as I was also wondering to say, if I come out, what is it that I can do? Because I'm totally condemned. But I thank God that I've found people who've helped me to be where I am.
With hundreds of inmates being released every day, such initiatives are therefore encouraged to further provide safe landing to individuals seeking integration in society and curtail reoffending. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula in Lusaka.
The Zambia Correctional Services has expressed gratitude that of the approximately 2,430 adult inmates, 276 juveniles each year benefited from Human Rights in Correctional Facilities project implemented by the Development Aid of People to People and other stakeholders. ZCS Senior Assistant Commissioner Doreen Ngoma says the project will for a long time utilize the skills learnt within the correctional facilities and will extend this to their communities to improve their lives and that of their families after discharge. And DAP Managing Director Elise Sorenson said overall the project managed to strengthen the rehabilitation systems in the correctional facilities and juvenile centers, in which it was implemented through the support to infrastructure, equipment, tools and materials for literacy, academic and vocational skills. The duo made the remarks during the dissemination meeting of the Human Rights in Correctional Facilities project.
Concerned parties gathered in Lusaka Thursday for the dissemination meeting of the Human Rights in Correctional Facilities project, assessing the impact and sustainability of the program. Zambia, like most African countries, suffers from high crime rate, with inmates in 2023 as many as 26,436 against the holding capacity of 10,650. Correctional facilities still face critical challenges in meeting the standards of rehabilitation and reintegration to result in actual reformation. To help address some of the challenges, a project titled Incarcerated Populations: Rights to a Productive Future is Their Right was implemented by various stakeholders, among them the Development Aid of People to People, with financial support from the European Union.
We started to work there. It was recently after the government changed from having prisons to having correctional facilities. So that was a significant shift from just being punishment and then to be correctional.
And the Zambia Correctional Services expressed gratitude that 2,430 adult inmates, 276 juveniles each year who benefited from this project will for a long time utilize the skills learned within the correctional facilities.
The government of the Republic of Zambia, through the Zambia Correctional Service, remains resolute in achieving the correctional mandate by recognizing the need for a higher observance of human rights through improved services towards incarcerated persons. This results into the rehabilitation and reintegration of inmates to eventually reduce recidivism nationwide. Recidivism simply means inmates who return to correctional facilities when they have not found an acceptance out in the community.
The European Union affirmed continued support to programs aimed at uplifting the livelihoods of the people who are in correctional facilities.
For this particular project, the EU committed around 11 million kwacha, and in total the EU committed 47 million for the support of people in detention, particularly on vocational skills, rehabilitation and reintegration. Going forward, the EU continues to support people in conflict with the law. We're supporting alongside the Federal Republic of Germany to support initiatives on access to justice, accountability and transparency. These will be in Southern Province, Lusaka, Central, Luapula and Copperbelt. And this is through a program called Enabling Access to Justice, Civil Society Participation and Transparency.
It was also observed that overall, the project managed to strengthen the rehabilitation systems in the correctional facilities and juvenile centers in which it was implemented through the support to infrastructure, equipment, tools and materials for literacy, academic and vocational skills. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Anti-Corruption Commission, SEC, is evaluating requests of some Ministry of Finance officials who are requesting to pay illegally obtained funds. SEC earlier this year arrested 20 officials at the Ministry of Finance and National Planning for making payments for fictitious activities and theft of public funds. Head Corporate Communications Timothy Mono says the Commission has been analyzing the requests and may grant them in accordance with Section 80 of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012. However, Mr. Mono says the officials have obligations to meet, such as providing a voluntary and full disclosure of the illegally obtained funds.
The Anti-Corruption Commission ACC has disclosed that it is investigating 135 cases out of the reported 294 cases which were approved to have merit. ACC Head Corporate Communications Timothy Mono, speaking during a second quarter press briefing in Lusaka, disclosed that during the period under review, the Commission also received one case of corruption from the Financial Intelligence Center, FIC, making the cases 5 in total.
The Commission recorded 10 arrests countrywide in the last quarter. And this brings the total number of all those that have been arrested to 38 so far since January. The Commission also recorded 8 convictions and 1 acquittal.
Following the crackdown at the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, which led to the arrest of 20 officials, Mr. Mono said the Commission is exploring options in the matter.
You may wish to note that the Commission has been receiving requests from some of the Ministry of Finance officials to pay back their illegally obtained funds. The Commission has been analyzing these requests and may grant them in accordance with Section 80 of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012. Please note, there is nothing sinister about allowing officials to pay back the funds, and as this is provided for in the law. However, the said officials have obligations to meet, such as providing a voluntary and true disclosure of the illegalities involved in the obtaining of funds.
The crackdown at the ministry included the arrest of Permanent Secretary Mr. Mukuli Chikuba, charged with multiple offences involving over 2 million kwacha, and Director of Internal Audit Francis Ngwenya, charged with abuse of authority of office, willful failure to allow applicable procedure, and obtaining money by false pretenses involving more than 1 million kwacha in form of allowances. Meanwhile, ACC has welcomed President Hakainde Hichilema's decision to remove from office former Wapura Province Minister Derek Chirundika and the arrest of everyone involved in the illegal mining of sojilite. The Commission has since reiterated the call to members of the public to be key players in the fight against corruption. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula in Lusaka.
Divergent views have emerged after the United Party for National Development, UPND, shot down a motion to reintroduce the Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs. 79 members, mostly from right, voted against the motion, while 49 members of Parliament on the left supported the motion. Meanwhile, the Community Action Against Corruption Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo has backed government-aligned members of Parliament for opposing the motion. Community Health Action on Prevention, Rehabilitation and Empowerment Executive Director Chazingwa Daka is saddened that parliamentarians debated on partisan lines on a non-controversial motion.
Divergent views have emerged after Parliament shot down the motion to reintroduce the Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs. 79 members of Parliament, mostly from the right, and those sympathetic to the ruling party, voted against the motion, while 49 members of parliament on the left supported the motion. The mover of the motion, Jay Banda, contended that following the scrapping off of the ministry, the country has seen a rise in immorality.
Guidance. I'm responding. Order. The Honorable Minister is responding to the issues that were being raised by this side. He's just responding. May the Honorable Minister continue.
Yeah, you can go.
Acting Leader of Business in the House, who is also Minister of Defense, Ambrose Rufuma, said government does not support the reintroduction of the Ministry of Religious Affairs.
I wish to state from the onset that government does not support this motion.
And Community Action Against Corruption Chief Executive Officer Blyton Tembo has backed the government-aligned members of parliament for opposing the motion.
Where was the Minister of Religious Affairs when women used to be beaten and stripped naked in the streets by PF cadres? Where was the Ministry of Religious Affairs when people used to be fired from employment just because they belonged to a certain ethnicity? Where was the Ministry of Religious Affairs when corruption engulfed this country to unprecedented levels? So all these questions must be answered by the PF before they start even mocking Zambians once again. Then again, instead of the PF seeking forgiveness for the atrocities they committed to Zambians and to Zambians who lost their relatives because of PF brutality, they are now again back trying to mock Zambians and present themselves as God-fearing entity. The PF existed as not as a God-fearing entity. Its brutality showed something else.
The Community Health Action on Prevention, Rehabilitation and Empowerment Executive Director Jazingwa Daka is saddened that parliamentarians debated the motion in partisan lines.
If 95% of Zambians are Christians, why not have a stand-alone ministry instead of having it housed as a hidden department under the so-called second highest office of the land? We need not to be ashamed of ourselves. Instead, we ought to be proud of who we are, just like the Muslim society or countries. Until we come to a point where we start appreciating the little good things that previous governments did, the country will continue throwing out the good together with the dirty water. To us, the voting was compromised because of party affiliation mentality.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Zambia's annual inflation rate for the month of July 2023 has increased to 10.3%, the highest in over 13 months. Zambia Statistics Agency, ZAMSTAT's statistician General Mulenga Musepa, says the increase in the annual inflation rate was due to the increase in the annual food inflation rate, which increased to 12.1% compared to 11.2% in the previous month. Mr. Musepa says the increase in the food inflation rate has been attributed to price movements in cereals, fish, milk, cheese and eggs, as well as vegetables. Meanwhile, Mr. Musepa says the country recorded a trade surplus of 0.9 billion kwacha in June 2023, compared to a surplus of 0.5 billion kwacha in May 2023.
The July overall monthly inflation increased to 0.9% from 0.8% recorded in the previous month, that is the month of June. And the main driver basically was the component of food inflation, which increased to 1% from 0.9% in June 2023. And whilst basically the monthly non-food inflation remained unchanged at 0.7. So basically the movement in the monthly overall inflation was driven by the movement, the increase in food inflation on a monthly basis, and the main drivers in there were bread and cereals. Of course, we also recorded some movements in meat and vegetables. Now, out of these movements, if we now look at the annual inflation. Annual inflation rose to 10.3% from 9.8% recorded in June 2023. And again, as on a monthly basis, this was mainly explained by the movements in prices of food items. We're reporting that the country recorded a trade surplus of 0.9 billion in June, compared to 0.04 billion in the month of May. And we do record this with a lag of 1 month.
The Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research, ZIPA, says it has noted a number of challenges in the implementation of the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, through a research it conducted in 12 districts of Zambia in 2022. ZIPA Executive Director Dr. Henrique Mpuku says the challenges stem from process inefficiencies, bottlenecks in the application and reviewing process, weak governance and coordination systems, and inadequate share of resources to critical implementers such as the Ward Development Committees and CDF committees. Mr. Mpuku says the research was conducted together with Local Governance Impact and DIE under the USAID's Local Governance Project. He says several recommendations have been made to improve on the implementation of CDF, as well as to ensure that CDF responds to climate-compatible growth. Meanwhile, British Deputy High Commissioner to Zambia, Samuel Waldock, says there is need to resolve the bottlenecks associated with the absorption of CDF before increasing the allocation. More in this report.
The Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research, ZIPA, working together with the Local Governance Impact and DAI under the USAID Local Governance Project, undertook a comprehensive study on the Constituency Development Fund CDF monitoring process in 2022. From the study, 12 districts in 6 provinces were surveyed to fully understand the dynamics of the CDF processes and the challenges being faced. ZIPA Executive Director Dr. Henrique Mpuku, who spoke at the report dissemination workshop on mobilizing investment for climate-compatible growth through Zambia's constituency development funds, has highlighted some of the challenges observed.
We recognize through our research that there are challenges which stem from process inefficiencies, bottlenecks in the application and review process, weak governance and coordination systems, and inadequate share of resources to critical implementers such as the Ward Development Committees and CDF committees. The reports started by the lead on the CDF have been wide. We have made, for instance, aware of the challenges faced by the people of the long distance needed to become traveled to access application forms from their local councils. We also see CDF funds being dispersed late, causing critical community projects to stall.
The Centre has since made several recommendations to the Zambian government on how CDF implementation can be improved.
One, that we need to strengthen the institutional people and regulatory framework for CDF to make it more efficient and responsive to community needs. Second, we propose that there should be enhancement of the capacity of local authorities to process CDF applications and monitor implementation, and also establish a CDF unit in the local authority. Additionally, the government must consider allocating funds to ward development committees to enable them to carry out their roles effectively. Furthermore, government should consider decentralized institutions such as background and delivery to bring their services closer to the people.
Meanwhile, British Deputy High Commissioner to Zambia, Samuel Waldock, says findings of the CDF report will aid his government in moving forward to inform the decision-making.
And what we're doing is improving access to information. We're also developing a dashboard around CDF to track progress, all with the idea of improving these feedback loops, where we have a better understanding of what's happening, citizens are more involved, and we make sure that the money we're spending is as effective as possible.
And Lusaka Mayor Chilando Chitangala, who was represented by independent Ward 17 Councillor Emmanuel Madiankuku, says sub-Saharan African cities need significantly increased investment for climate change adaptation and access to sustainable energy.
Accelerating climate finance is critical to support large-scale investments required to adopt measures to significantly reduce emissions and mitigate adverse effects of climate change.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Ministry of Health has urged the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development to strengthen enforcement of regulatory provisions under the Food Safety Act, Public Health Act and other statutory provisions that relate to the production, transportation and sale of beer in order to ensure the safety of customers. Ministry Permanent Secretary Administration George Sinyangwe, who represented the minister at a meeting, has also appealed to the opaque beer industry to ensure compliance with requirements that will promote trade in safe beer. Mr. Sinyangwe says government recognizes a need for enhanced economic development through support activities to the food industry, but that there is need to ensure food productions are safe during production, transportation and storage. He says government is keen at ensuring both the traders and consumers are protected through various regulatory provisions. He said this when he met with brewers of opaque beer in Lusaka Thursday.
Therefore, important that we have this engagement to discuss production, transportation, and sale of opaque beer. All these issues must be considered. Let me take this opportunity to urge our counterpart ministries, especially the Ministry of Local Government, to strengthen enforcement of the regulatory provisions under the Food Safety Act, Public Health Act, and other statutory provisions as they relate to the production, transportation, and sale of beer in order to ensure safety of the customer. I also call upon the rural industry to ensure compliance with requirements that will promote trade in safe beer. Regulatory compliance will result in increased quality and safety of the product, thereby attracting more customers through well-packaged commodities. This will in turn translate into more profits and increased economic development.
Trial in the case involving former Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Malangi has failed to take off in the Lusaka Magistrate Court after one of the state prosecutors' laptop and notebook containing former Mr. Malangi's proceeds of crime case details were stolen Wednesday night in Lusaka. State Prosecutor Monica Mwansa has testified before Lusaka resident magistrate Irene Wishimanga that unknown people broke into her motor vehicle around 21 hours at Lusaka's Waterfalls Mall and went away with her laptop and notebook in question. Ms. Mwansa testified that the incident happened shortly after meeting a state witness at the said mall. She has since applied for adjournment of Mr. Malangi's trial, contending that she was not ready to proceed with the case due to the shock arising from the theft of her laptop and notebooks containing the case details. And the Lusaka resident magistrate Irene Wishimanga has since adjourned the matter to September 14, 2023. This is in a matter where Mr. Malangi is jointly charged with former Secretary to the Treasury Fredson Nyamba for possession of property deemed to be proceeds of crime. It is alleged that Mr. Malangi between January 2020 and August 2022 in Lusaka jointly with others unknown possessed a helicopter suspected to be a proceed of crime. Mr. Malangi is also at the same period alleged to have possessed Gibson Royal Hotel in Kitwe on the Copperbelt, property reasonably suspected to be a proceed of crime, contrary to the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010. Meanwhile, Mr. Nyamba between January 2020 and August 2022, whilst acting together with others, allegedly transferred over 108 million kwacha to Zambia's mission in Turkey for the procurement of real estate without following applicable laws and procedures. You're watching Camnet Television Main News. Join us for more news after this short break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, downlights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Hello Zambia. Greetings to all soccer-loving Zambians. I'm Dr. Stenpusi from the Czech Republic, and I will bring with me soccer agent Mr. Jakub Skibik and the coach Mr. Pavel Ondrečka, both from the Czech Republic as well. Football league in the Czech Republic is a qualitative and competitive league in the world. Knowing that, there are a lot of highly talented footballers in Zambia. All of us will be visiting Zambia from the 2nd to 6th of August 2023 in partnership with Camnet Football Academy. Agent and coach will come to Lusaka, Zambia to look at promising young Zambian players. Chances are that hard-working players may get engagement in the Czech Republic and including other European leagues. We look forward to seeing you at the tournament, which will be organized by Pastor Moses Chiluba of Camnet Television. See you soon!
We continue with the news. A urologist has urged men in their 40s to test for prostate cancer as it is more prevalent in the age range. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Dr. Michael Magdi says prostate cancer screening is a simple procedure which saves lives. Dr. Magdi, who is also the Chief Executive Officer of Max Care Hospital, says Zambia, like many other countries, has a high rate of prostate cancer among men in their 40s.
With kidney stones, we deal with bladder overactivity, bladder incontinence, urine infection, urinary tract infection, and the most important, we deal with prostate issues. Prostate issues is a very big problem here in Zambia, and most of men, almost 90% of men here, especially who are starting to become 40 and plus, they experience a lot of problems. And let me take the advantage and also announce about prostate cancer, which is found in Zambia a lot. And I advise people, at least when they are coming toward this 40, they start to seek a checkup for prostate cancer. Prostate cancer checkup now is very simple and it doesn't require a lot of time. I think one visit with a urologist can be enough to tell the person that he have prostate cancer or no. Actually, during this visit, the doctor starts to interpret his way of urination, and the doctor starts to say, yes, this is normal, and no, this is not normal, and start to give advices. Most of the people think that it's acceptable to have some urinary problems at that age, which is not true, because the reason is there, and the prostate could be the most common reason for that.
The Department of National Parks and Wildlife, DNPW, has successfully mitigated the human-wildlife conflict experienced in Machiya area of Mpongwe last week when a sub-adult male lion found itself in the area killing 4 heads of cattle. The department, with the support of honorary wildlife police officers and Panthera, a conservation non-governmental organization working in the Kafue ecosystem, swiftly responded to a distress call of a reported stray lion that was in the area and preying on livestock in farms. The operation cost is estimated at 30,000 kwacha. According to the National Department of National Parks and Wildlife Acting Assistant Director of Research and Veterinary Services, Dr. Billy Ngombwa, it is common for male lions to wander away from prides when they get to sexual maturity at the ages between 2 and 3 years old. And Panthera ecologist Stephen Ngoma, in the quest to ensure that animals survives, the partners have identified a site around Sishamba River, 70 kilometers from Kafue Hook Bridge in the Kafue National Park, as an ideal release site where there is enough water and sufficient prey for the animal to hunt.
No, let them take the single cable. The cage is too long. So they use a single cable. The double cable follow with
I have a very small stand. We continue having cases of human-wildlife conflicts, and the most recent one is the case we are just dealing with now, where a lion found itself in a machia of Mpongwe district. It was a struggle, but we managed to capture the lion, which found itself in the community, threatening the life of livestock and also that of humans. That also includes threatening, the life of itself, wildlife. We stand for conservation, and we successfully managed to capture this lion alive and brought it to the Kafue National Park, where we feel when it is released, to have a better chance of survival.
There are many ecological considerations that we did before the translocation of the animal, and we are sure that where we are taking it will have a chance of survival, unlike it being in the community.
Government has reaffirmed its support for the cotton industry because of its potential to contribute to job creation and economic growth of the country. Minister of Agriculture Ruben Mtolo-Piri says government will fully support the Cotton Board of Zambia in its quest to grow the cotton industry. Mr. Piri notes that the cotton sector has the potential to contribute 50% to the country's gross domestic product GDP. Meanwhile, Mr. Piri has encouraged farmers to venture into cotton farming as government explores ways to revive the textile industry. He said this when the Cotton Board of Zambia submitted a cotton sector revamp report intended to revive the cotton sector in the country at his office today. The cotton sector has been affected due to lack of government support, which is now a thing of the past, the minister said. Meanwhile, Cotton Board of Zambia Chairman Raymond Mpundu said the board has presented the cotton sector revamp plan of how the industry can be revived.
It starts with production. If you are going to have what has happened, for example, just the other year we had, I'll give rough figures, we produced about 21,000 kgs,
21,000
metric tons of cotton. All right, 21,000 metric tons. And this year we are estimating, because there was a good price, there was 15 kwacha per kg. This year we are estimating that we would be getting 60,000 metric tons. Look at the jump there. That's 3 times. Okay? If this figure could progressively increase, for example, then it jumps and it gets to from 60. If we had 20, it gets to 60. Just even by twice the 60, you get to 120, or by 3 times, you get 180, close to 200,000. Then the contribution to GDP will also start becoming significant. So it is as simple equation as that. We need the production to prop up. Not only that, we need to encourage more genas within the board. We have GINAs. We need to encourage more GINAs. And it shouldn't end there. We should not just gin our cotton. We need now to have this ginned cotton turned into fabric. Let me make it easy for understanding. Into the final phase of textile, we need the chitenje to be produced. We need the material, the rolls of material to be produced. So if we want curtains, we should be getting from here in Zambia. Then to get real value, those rolls of material should be turned into dresses, trousers, and other garments. Then we shall have the real benefit. It's not a dream. We were there. We lost it along the way. We want to get back where we were. So it's a question of just getting back where we were. Thank you.
A Kitwe-based clergyman has asked the government through the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development to update the nation when they are likely to hand over Konkola Copper Mines KCM to Vedanta Resources, as well as announcing a partner to run Mopani Copper Mine. Pastor Charles Chilesha of Christ My Life Ministries of Kitwe says the month is coming to an end and the people, more especially Copperbelt residents, are eager to hear the government make these major pronouncements. Pastor Chilesha says the people on the Copperbelt are suffering and cannot wait to hear when Vedanta will take over KCM so that the mine can be productive and help create employment for the local people.
The government, through the press statement made by the Minister of Mines as well as the Minister of Finance, promised us that third week of July, they will have handed over Mopani Copper Mines PLC to the bona fide investor, the would-be investor, as well as a KCM will have been handed over to Vedanta Resources. We want the minister to tell us, address the nation, and tell us when you are actually doing this, because people on the Copper Belt are really suffering and we need an answer. We need an answer expeditiously. We have been waiting and you promised us, so please leave and talk, walk your talk, and talk your walk. That's what we want. Thank you so much.
Muchinga constituency member of Parliament Emmanuel Banda has charged that the country is on the right economic recovery path despite the current economic hurdles that the citizens are faced with. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Banda notes that the debt restructuring program is an indication that the country is on the right economic path. He says the country will see a lot of economic benefits in the coming years as the debt restructuring will give relief and allow other economic projects to be undertaken.
In my view, the UPND is governing this country very well because, they have got set up goals and they are not swaying away from their goals, regardless of what these opposition people say, but they have maintained their direction. And on the economic recovery, as I said even during the TV interview, that Zambia was highly indebted. Up to now, we still have a lot of debt to clear, but the President of the Republic and his team of ministers and those aligned to the same area have managed to negotiate and have some of the debts, restructured. So this will give us as a country some relief in how we are going to spend. That's why I expect a lot of good things in the next budget of 2024. And all these things that are being complained about now, people understand, and they should understand that the budget that we are running through now was formulated at the time when we didn't have enough money. We were still negotiating for debt restructuring. It's like we were still tied up. We didn't know which direction to go. But we are surviving. But come 2024, a lot of things will have started changing.
We'll take a second and final break. We have more news in international and sports coming up.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process, Get informed on those have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello Zambia. Greetings to all soccer-loving Zambians. I'm Dr. Stenpusi from the Czech Republic, and I will bring with me soccer agent Mr. Jakub Skibik and the coach Mr. Pavel Ondrečka, both from the Czech Republic as well. Football league in the Czech Republic is a qualitative and competitive league in the world. Knowing that, there are a lot of highly talented footballers in Zambia. All of us will be visiting Zambia from the 2nd to 6th of August 2023 in partnership with Camnet Football Academy. Agent and coach will come to Lusaka, Zambia to look at promising young Zambian players. Chances are that hard-working players may get engagement in the Czech Republic and including other European leagues. We look forward to seeing you at the tournament, which will be organized by Pastor Moses Chiluba of Camnet Television. See you soon!
Welcome back. And now in international news, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the trade turnover between Russia and African countries had increased by almost 35% in the first half of 2023, despite international sanctions and the fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. Here's a roundup of international news.
Trade turnover between Russia and African countries had increased by almost 35% in the first half of 2023, despite international sanctions and the fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. The Russian President Vladimir Putin confirmed this new data as he met various African leaders. Despite the difficulties related to the coronavirus pandemic and the imposition of illegal sanctions against Russia, it was possible to ensure the growth in the pace of trade and economic ties with African countries. In 2022, the volume of mutual trade amounted to about $18 billion. In the first half of this year, the trade turnover increased by almost 35%. Russia continues to be a reliable supplier of food to Africa. In 2022, Russia exports to this group of goods amounted to $4.7 billion. African leaders who met Putin also took the opportunity to highlight on the repercussions of the war in Ukraine, reiterating on the need to having a concrete solution to end the conflict. We are not going to close our eyes to the issues between Russia and Ukraine because these are two countries with which we have partnerships and we can see the negative consequences around the world, especially in Africa. We should be by your side to try to see how we can find a solution that can satisfy both your fraternal country but also the African continent, and why not the whole world. Putin has built the two-day summit that opened Thursday in St. Petersburg as a major event that will help bolster ties with a continent of 1.3 billion people that is increasingly assertive on the global stage. The World Bank predicts that by 2030, the wider Middle East and North Africa region will fall below the absolute water scarcity threshold of 500 cubic meters per person per year. As a result, several companies have ventured into desalination process in both Morocco and Tunisia. The North Africa has embarked on a building spree of land that purifies sea and forest water as climate change intensifies droughts in the water-scarce region. Last year, as a farmer, and because of lack of water, I was only able to use 20 cubic meters of water a day. When we had access to this treated water, I was able to use up to 150 cubic meters a day. This covers the watering of my almond trees and my crops. In Tunisia, struggling through its 4th year of drought, engineers recently inspected a desalination plant being built in the southern town of Zaraat on the Mediterranean coast. The existing desalination plants are powered by the very fossil fuels that belch carbon into the atmosphere, driving the global heating that is now intensifying droughts. The drawback is energy consumption, but this is improving. One of the disadvantages is that it uses a lot of energy. We hope that with technology this will improve, and that with solar energy we'll be able to mitigate the impact of energy consumption a bit. Today, Tunisia's 16 desalination plant provides 6% of its potable water. Some plants also help in recycling water through purification. The objective of the National Sanitation Office is to improve the quality of wastewater. Improving quality is part of a whole system, which is wastewater reclamation. The National Sanitation Office objective is to achieve 50% wastewater treatment by 2030, rising to over 80% by 2050. Tunisia already has 125 basic wastewater treatment plants that service farms and replenish groundwater, and Algeria is now looking to upgrade many of its treatment facilities.
In our sports news tonight, Nigeria came from behind to beat Australia and leave the co-hosts facing a battle to qualify for the last 16 of the FIFA Women's World Cup. Australia scored first when Emily Van Egmond converted Caitlin Ford's pass, but Nigeria equalized soon afterwards with Uchenna Kanu's calm finish before Osinachi Ohale's header made it 2-1. Asisat Oshola scored after a mix-up between Australia's Elena Kennedy and Mackenzie Arnold, and Nigeria held on despite Kennedy scoring late on. That FIFA Women's World Cup story brings us to the end of the news. The headlines once again. Some officials from the Ministry of Finance willing to pay back illegally acquired funds. Zambia's annual inflation rate hits double digits, the highest in over 1 year. Divergent views emerge following the rejection of a motion to reintroduce the Ministry of Religious Affairs. In international news, Russia's trade with Africa increased by 35% in the first half of 2023. And in sports news, Nigeria stands co-host Australia to deliver major shock at the Women's World Cup. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Mark 12, verse 30. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. That's it. That is the end of our news tonight. Thank you so much for watching Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Siambo. Bye-bye.